Appetite regulation, sunlight, minerals, temperature, exercise, and sleep quality. So, what is appetite exactly? Appetite is regulated by hormones like leptin and ghrelin. Leptin is the hormone that makes you feel satiated, while ghrelin is the number one hunger related hormone. Also, the metabolism is many things. Like, it's not just for calorie absorption, it's also for things like muscle protein synthesis, energy generation, and many other things. Our appetite can be influenced by many factors and also is based on our own activity level. There's also something called the appetite regulating network, which is located in the hypothalamus of the brain. And the hypothalamus, by the way, is like this master gland. It kind of regulates all the things in the body. And is also known as ARN, the appetite regulating network. Let's get into 5 things that actually control our appetite. Because I know a lot of us, we kind of struggle with needing to eat a lot, and a lot of us are controlled by food. Like we kind of revolve our day around food. But wouldn't it be awesome to just like eat when we want to, and not just having these cravings to eat all day? Our productivity level will definitely go through the roof. Number 1 is going to be sunlight. Now, vitamin D helps with serotonin synthesis, which is really good for satiety. This also helps regulate the circadian rhythm. Now, the circadian clock regulates the release of hormones and neurotransmitters that regulate appetite. Ensure you get enough sunlight, get outside every single day. Even if it's an overcast day, make sure you get outside, just because we have 70% of our photoreceptors located in our eyes, right? And it's way more bright than on the outside, even on an overcast day that it is on the inside. Like, it's not even comparable. And we need light for all things in our bodies. And the hormones that are secreted are definitely going to be helpful in regulating our appetite. Number 2 here is temperature. Now, the more we eat, the more our body temperature increases. On a hot day, we may actually need to eat less in order to stay cool. And the macronutrient protein has a big thermogenic effect on the body, which means it takes a lot of energy in order to get digested. As an example, like for protein specifically, it takes 30% of the calories in order to digest it. So 100 calories of protein is going to be only 70 when it's all done, because 30 of those are going to be used to digest them. Now, we usually eat more when it's cold, because the cold actually burns more energy. Now, doing cold therapy itself, like cold thermogenesis, has been shown to increase appetite. A study done in the journal of PLOS One showed that how cold thermogenesis activates brown fat. We know that as a fact. Like, brown fat is a type of fat that burns fat. It's brown because it's so dense in mitochondria. Now, having more of this in the body actually regulates our appetite, so increasing our metabolic rate as well. Number 3 here is sleep quality. And sleep quality dramatically affects hormones, especially our satiety. It has been shown to dramatically affect CCK levels, which is one of the number 1 satiety hormones, cholecystokinin. So sleep quality, I've done a show on this before, and things like sleeping in a cold, dark room, also getting enough light at the right times. So when your room is blacked out completely, let's say blackout curtains, we know that our melatonin is able to be secreted properly, because it is requirement for melatonin to have a consistent schedule as long with complete darkness. And the temperature, we undergo a process called thermoregulation while we sleep, which is a drop in our body temperature, and we need to assist that throughout the night. Because everywhere you go on the planet, the temperature is going to drop. So it's kind of natural, but sleeping in a hot environment can actually make this process a lot more harder to take, and we're going to end up feeling not refreshed as nearly as we can when we wake up. Also, if the temperature, when you expose yourself to extreme temperatures like saunas and then cryotherapy, for example, you actually make yourself more resilient to temperature, and you can be more efficient throughout the body to regulate these processes and be less sensitive to extreme temperature. Number 4 is minerals, which is a critical micronutrient for our bodies. Chronic nutrient deficiency leads to chronic overeating, which means that we have so much food in our culture, so much calories, but we're constantly hungry because we're not getting the nutrients that we need. Like, we have calories, they're empty of the vital nutrients our bodies require to build itself. When you actually get the proper nutrition, you're not going to feel hungry all the time because your body is actually satiated. So, real food. And we know that highly processed food manufacturers know this. Like, you can't eat just one for sure. I talked about this before, where they know all the exact sciences, like how the crunch is just right, how it melts in your mouth, like all the things. But another term they throw around is a heavy user. Like they rather have you get in while you're young and have more of their products, like people who like use ton of the products and have more customers. So like if they have less people who do that, they would much rather have that. Essentially, getting back to basics. Another thing is salt, like getting high quality salt, Celtic salt, Redmond real salt, getting in the minerals that we need, especially when we wake up. Like I drink 24 ounces of water every single morning, and I add a nice amount of salt in there as well for hydration, mineral status, and adrenals, all that. Helps you modulate the stress response too. So that's just a good practice to throw in. Number 5 to regulate appetite is exercise, which is one of the top things to actually feel regulated, even though food's not involved. Cravings can be dramatically reduced. Ghrelin is getting suppressed. Also, the more muscle we have, the more glucose we can consume because muscle is a primary storage place for glycogen. An interesting thing about exercise is that if you wait a couple hours to eat, the hormones like testosterone and all the regenerative hormones get amplified because insulin suppresses these things. Like when you eat, those hormones are actually being suppressed from the exercise response. If that makes sense. Like for longevity, you can like wait a few hours and then eat. But if you want to build more muscle, it's perhaps a little bit better to eat sooner. So it depends on your goals, really. I tend to do both. Understanding like you don't have to like be neurotic about just getting some type of protein shake in right after. That's not always necessary. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoy these tips to regulate your appetite, and it is much more empowering way to live when you're not so mesmerized by food all the time. So you can actually free up that energy, focus on other things. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the show. For more, you can head over to anthonygastella.com for articles, coaching, and other free resources. Also, if you can, leave a review for the show, let people know what you think, and I would appreciate that so much. Support the mission of freedom. Thanks for being on this mission with me, and I promise to give you more powerful, empowering, great content to help transform your life. Thanks for tuning in.